again, everyone, and welcome to Down with the 90s, the time when the colors were brighter, the stars were just as bright, and maybe, just maybe, it was some of the best times of your life. I'm Jerry Strauss, and this week we've got a very, very special guest because we've got a familiar face on so many levels, in so many ways, some of our favorite movies from that time period. And we're going to talk to her about each and every one of them. So please welcome to the show, Nicole Bilderback. Thank you for joining us here on Down with the 90s.
Oh, thank you so much for having me. I truly appreciate it.
Oh, not a problem. The pleasure all ours. And before we do some of your most beloved stuff, I want to start at the beginning for a moment because you've got quite a story. You were actually Korean born, and you came over here. Let's see if I have this right here. You came over here. I'm sorry.
When I was a baby,
Okay. So you were very, very young.
Oh, okay. Yeah. No, I was born in Korea, but I'm actually mixed Asian ethnicities, which comes in handy. And then, but I was adopted by my parents, and I arrived in America when I was 6 months old, so I'm really actually the typical all-American girl. Okay.
And
as we like to joke about it, I'm from Texas, so I'm what I call a Tex Asian.
It says here you were raised in Tulsa, Oklahoma, and Dallas, Texas. Were you just in Oklahoma for a short period of time?
We lived in Oklahoma when I was about 18 months old, and then we moved to Dallas when I had just turned 5.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I know, but it's kind of funny though. Tulsa and Texas, it's like I'm kind of Asian white trash, I guess you could say, or an Asian redneck, however you want to look at it.
Is there a big difference between? I've never lived in either place, but up here in Jersey, we kind of all think of everyone from both states as sort of the same. Is that the case?
I know, right?
No offense.
No, it's kind of funny because, like, unless you're from, there's certain states that are, Texans, we're kind of our own country, I guess you could really say. You know what I mean? It's like we're very proud to be from Texas, and I think, in Texas we kind of have a mix of everybody. You got your rednecks, you got the white trash, you have your.
See, I don't know.
Yeah. And then you then the trailer park, and it's all kind of the same. It just really depends on the areas and how you prefer to be referred to as more so than the other. So redneck is a little more polite versus white trash is kind of like trailer park.
So what you're saying is that the white trash has to sort of work their way up to being redneck.
Exactly. That's exactly it.
Wow. Okay.
Although I certainly hope my parents don't hear me say this. I grew up in a house. Don't get me wrong. I had a very lovely upbringing. I grew up in a nice home, happy family.
Running water?
We had running water most of the time, yes.
Indoor restroom, everything. Awesome.
Okay. We didn't have an outhouse. I didn't ride a horse to school. It's all good.
Well, let me ask you this, though, for the record. Have you ever lived up north in the East Coast or anywhere in this area?
I have not, lived there, but I have actually lived there for, months at a time in New York. Yeah, for work.
I was going to ask for the record what when you were growing up, what you thought of our area, because I'm sure it's probably just as terrible as what we sort of generalize about other areas too. Especially now, I think everyone thinks that the New Jersey area we're all just like the Jersey Shore.
Well, what's funny is I think when you're from Texas, if you haven't spent a lot of time on the East Coast, then it's really more it's true. It's just really more the social persona that society has, sort of labeled Jersey and, New Yorkers and whatnot. But I think, because we're just kind of going based on what we see on TV. You know what I mean? If you haven't really spent a lot of time out there. I will say this though, New York, I have a love affair with New York. Like New York, I love. It's probably my favorite city, or definitely top three. I love spending time there. I love going there. I love the energy. I love the honesty and the directness of the people in the community. Jersey, I guess you're kind of right. I guess I sort of look at Jersey as sort of like the Jersey Shore people.
Wow.
And I mean that in no offense in any way, shape, or form.
Wow. Still, it's rough to hear. We know it, but it's still rough to hear. But hey.
So you sound actually quite decent and normal. So I will have to say, maybe I can't.
I appreciate that. I try to be decent and normal whenever possible. So in your upbringing among the rednecks and white trash, we go to your childhood, and it seems like your parents, your family was very encouraging of you as far as you sort of being able to take on different activities and sort of experiment in the arts, and it looks like you studied dancing from an early age. Is that correct?
Yeah. No, I grew up a dancer. I started dancing when I was 3. So I've been, trained with, ballet and jazz, and then that evolved into when I was dancing in a company, and then I pretty much, am proficient in everything, lyrical, contemporary, modern, hip hop, the whole 9 yards. So, that's kind of how it started. I was always a dancer growing up, and then, but I had always, even as a little kid, I had always, felt very drawn to acting. And it's one of those that, like, when I was little, I would, be watching, and I'm going to totally age myself here, but I was watching, you'd be watching like Cosby Show or Growing Pains.
Oh, sure.
Family Ties, all those shows. And so like I would, my parents at times, they probably thought I was talking to myself, but really what was happening is I was actually reenacting scenes from their shows. And so that's kind of how it all, but I mean, I really always felt it. And then ever since I can remember, I knew that I was going to move to Los Angeles, at a very young age. So it's not like I didn't just spring it on my parents at 18, said, bye mom, dad, graduated high school and did it off. They had, many years of preparation. So,
wow.
But yes, I was very, very fortunate, to have parents who, were extremely supportive, which is kind of surprising in some sense, because I come from a very, close, tight-knit sort of, Texas old-fashioned Christian family, you know what I mean? And you wouldn't necessarily think that my parents would, allow their youngest child and only daughter move to, scary Hollywood and pursue, acting. That just sort of, but it's kind of, you wouldn't necessarily imagine that. And then my parents, I think, I don't know, I guess, the only thing that I can probably boil it down to is I think my parents just must have known. They must have had a gut feeling that this was my path. And I think, they just, thankfully they loved me unconditionally and trusted me and knew that I was a smart enough girl and that I could, go after my dreams and you got to go for it. So they knew it was what I wanted, and yeah, so, which I'm very, very fortunate, because not all parents would necessarily let their youngest and their only daughter move to, a big city that doesn't necessarily always have the best reputation,
Right. So you moved to LA pretty much right after you graduated high school, is that correct?
Yes. Oh yeah. I was in an acting school. I started acting school when I was about 14, outside of my regular high school. So I was fortunate enough to live in Los Angeles during the summers. To, audition, and we had agents, and we'd live out here in apartments and do the whole audition scene. So I had some experience for a couple summers of living out here while I was in high school, and then after I graduated, my dad packed up the U-Haul, and my dad drove me out to LA.
That's amazing.
all the way from Dallas, which, you know, when you drive cross country, you know, the old joke is that it can take 5 days to drive all the way across country, and, you know, 3.5 of those days is spent in Texas. Because it's so darn big and takes forever to drive through.
Well, if you had the car ride that long and you didn't turn back at any point, then it was meant to be.
Absolutely. No, I couldn't get here fast enough.
So what happens? I mean, just to get into the mind of somebody who just goes to LA to follow their dreams, did you have a place to live? Did you just show up and start looking, or what kind of plan was there?
Yeah, no, it actually was very nicely planned out. There was a friend of mine, a guy friend of mine that I was in acting school with in Dallas. And our parents, like my parents and his parents, they knew each other really well. They were friends, and so we had just decided, you know, both of us had wanted to move to LA and kind of, you know, try out the whole acting scene. And so we actually moved out together. So I had a roommate, and yes, he was just a friend. So we moved into an apartment together out here, and you know, a nice place. And our parents came out to check it out, and it was approved. And and then we rented the U-Haul and packed everything up, and we met out there. And I have to say, it actually worked out quite nicely. So, I mean, it was definitely very planned. Like my parents had been planning for, you know, building up to it months in advance. You know, of course, you know, Mom had to go out and get me all the Tupperware and, you know, kitchen utensils, and, you know, Dad bought me a kitchen table. You know, they buy you all the furniture, so it's like they were making sure we all had all the you know, appropriate means to live on our own at barely 18 years old.
That is sweet. It's really nice.
Yeah.
It's really nice. Everyone pitched in. Everyone was behind you. That must have been a great way to go, as opposed to, you know, some kid who has a dream and has to, you know, run away from home, crawl out of his window at 2 a.m. or something before anyone could catch him.
And hitchhike his way into LA. Yeah.
Exactly. So so you get out there in what, 93?
Yeah.
And you're just sort of at this point just auditioning and looking for work and you know, working, making ends meet, and it takes what, a couple of years before your first big role, so to speak.
Yeah, well, actually, what happened was when I very first got out here, I already had an agent set up, which is nice. So I immediately started auditioning for, you know, commercials and you know, co-stars. You know, so I immediately started auditioning right away, thankfully. So and I booked my first commercial like maybe 2 weeks after moving out here.
Wow. Nice.
Yeah, and so I just started working immediately in commercials, and I started booking, you know, a lot of little co-star gigs, and did you know, some. I think I even did like a small little stint, a few episodes of Days of Our Lives, which my mother was very happy about.
Wait,
even though,
back up 1 second. What was your first commercial?
Oh my God! Of course you have to ask. Crap. Okay, my first commercial was a commercial for Disneyland.
Okay.
And it was for it only aired in California. It was for there was a deal that was going on at the time for California residents. And I remember my lines were, you know, hi, I'm you know, I live in Burbank, California, and I got into Disneyland just for, you know, $22. It was like some special deal like that where everybody, you know, they had to say where they lived in California, and I was writing. I got my stuff was on the carousel. So unfortunately, it wasn't on a big roller coaster or anything. I kind of wish it would have been on a big roller coaster, but I was on the little carousel on a horse all day, and being all happy and perky, and yeah, it was for Disneyland.
Do you think if you were on the big roller coaster, your career might have taken off in a totally different path? Maybe action movies could have been.
Damn it! Is that it? God darn it!
They held you down.
Damn Disneyland! It was all because of this.
You got that damn adorable rep in your file. Passing around.
I know, right?
So, okay, so you're doing commercials, you're doing work, and then in 1995, Clueless comes along. How did that come about for you?
Clueless, you know what's funny? I only lived in LA. At the time of booking the job, I had only lived in LA for, maybe a year and a half.
Okay.
If that. So it came, for your very first movie ever, for it to be a big studio film, for Paramount, it's not too bad, you know what I mean? So it was a very, very exciting time. And it's funny you asked. I very vividly remember that audition. The audition just came in through my agent. I remember reading the script. And, you have to keep in mind when you're reading the dialogue written on paper without the vision behind it, you know what I mean? It can kind of come across like, you're seeing lines like, whatever, and you're kind of going, okay, well, this is cute and cheeky and funny, but like, is it going to work? You really don't know. And then of course, I was familiar with, Amy Hesselman. She was, iconic because of Fast Times at Ridgemont High. So I was like, all right, this is Amy Hesselman. This is Paramount Studios. Great cast. I'm like, this should be a lot of fun. Well, either way, I didn't care because it was my first movie. So, it's not like I wasn't going to do it. Of course I was going to do it.
Right.
But yeah, so then, I remember the audition process. I remember, all the producers that were in the room. I remember Amy Hesselman being in there and the casting directors, and just really not even realizing what was really happening. I think I was just having fun and just kind of happy to be there. And then all of a sudden I got the call saying that I got it. So
is that the secret? Is that the secret to a great audition? Just try to forget why you're there and have fun and just relax.
Absolutely. And this is actually, there's a lot more to it, but I will say this. Throughout my entire almost 20-year professional career here in Los Angeles, I will say this, that the one thing that I can say that, it may take actually going through, the blood and sweat and experience, and of years of auditioning to really truly absorb and embrace this. But, I think a lot of actors, no matter how much you've worked, whether you've worked a ton and, or whether you've barely worked at all, I think a lot of actors fall into a phase of, the auditions become about needing to prove or needing to show what you can do. I think it sort of gets misviewed in terms of it's easy to lose the real reason why we're there, and why we're there, or why you should be there is you love acting for the pure love of acting and performing and the craft of it and the art of it, and not making it about booking the job. I think a lot of actors, including myself, have definitely fallen into this phase of it in the past, where it can become about, I just want to book it. Well, of course you want to book it, sure. But I think that once I started to really let go of the want or even the need to book the job and truly make my focus, my only goal now when I audition, my only goal now is to have fun. It's my playground. I get to go into audition get to look at it as I get to go play on a playground. And this way it takes all the pressure off. It totally makes you more relaxed, and it also puts you in a space to, be more open, to where you're not attached to how I'm delivering the lines, to how it's going to go. It becomes less rehearsed and premeditated, and just becomes more of playing on the playground, because as you know, when you're having fun and feeling free, you're not thinking about how you're going to say your next line, or you're not, it's not premeditated. You're just being, you're just having fun, and you're in conversation, and you're listening. And in conversation, I think it's easy to, when you see lines, it's easy to look at it as, okay, that's the other actor's line, this is my line. Versus when you're talking in a real conversation with a person like you and I, like right now, it's just about, it's it's not premeditated. You know, you may know some of the questions you're going to ask me ahead of time. However, you don't know what I'm going to say or how I'm going to respond. You know, it's about the art of listening and remembering the importance of listening and receiving information and the natural, authentic reaction to it. So I think that if you just truly put yourself in a space of just surrendering, letting go, and not making it about anything other than go in there, achieve the goal, make the goal about having fun. So that way, if I've had fun in that audition, I walk out and I feel damn good no matter what. And I think the energy within that just by itself is why lately I've, you know, been working more and things are just kind of happening. So
that's great. And I mean, if you even think about it from a broader perspective, just the logic of it is you're going into the audition, and the main goal is these people are here to see who they want to play this part. And people enjoy seeing people on screen, on their TVs, on their big screens that look like they're, you know, enjoying themselves, that look relaxed, you know, in playing this part. You know, I think audiences can certainly pick up on someone who's trying too hard to play a role
Absolutely.
as opposed to someone who's doing it naturally. And so if you do that in the audition and that's the kind of person they're looking for, logically speaking, you're more likely to be the person to get that role. So
yeah, you know, I completely agree, and I think to expand on that for a second, I think that you know, let's face it, energetically, you know, energy is energy, and when you walk, like say for example, if you were to walk into a room, and let's say there was like, you know, if you're really excited about something, you know, because it's natural and it's authentic, but that's the energy, that's the vibe that you're vibing, right? So you walk in, and the people in that room will automatically feel this instantaneous, or they'll at the very least sense something really great is on your mind. You know what I mean? Like you're happy, you're excited, like that energy just naturally sort of transcends outward. And I think that for actors, if you walk into a room already vibing a disparity or, you know, needing or wanting, you know what I mean? You can't fake energy, you can't hide it. You know, it's one of those that if you're walking in and you're feeling insecure and you know, too worried about your lines, well, that's absolutely going to show through.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, especially for an actor, because I mean, whether you're trying or not, you're trained to sort of emote, to, you know, when you want to sort of wear your emotions on your sleeve a little bit more. And I think maybe that comes across than someone who's not used to really pulling out from within themselves. But you probably do it all the time without even realizing it.
Yeah, and, you know, I'm glad you actually said that. I'm glad you brought up the point of, you know, really pulling out the emotions. You know, I think it's so easy to fall into, you know, trying to show what you can do or prove what you can do when you have, the truth of the matter is as an actor, we have nothing to prove. The whole thing is that, you know, we have to remember that producers, like say you're walking in, the casting directors are there and the producers are there, the director's there, all in a room. You know, we have to remember that they need us. We're walking into that room and they're hoping that, God, I really hope she's it. I really hope this is our girl. Because let's be honest, directors may love to, you know, work with the actors and see the actors and read the actors, but let's face it, producers, they're busy people. The last thing they want to do is be stuck in a room, you know, 8, 9, 10 hours out of a day to read, you know, hundreds of actors for this part. They want you to walk in and they want to know. They want that answer right away because this is a tedious process for them. It can be a pain in the butt. So it's like, and they know that, you know, actors, any actor can turn down a project. They can turn down, you know, going in. So it's, you know, and this is all, you know, the insight given to me by huge producers, by big casting directors that have all said the same exact thing. And they're like, no, they're like, you know what? They're like, we appreciate you walking through that door because you have a choice to show up or not. And we need you. So I think if actors remember, if they can shift that perspective and remember them walking into the room, they've got all the power in the world.
That is a fascinating way to look at it because, yeah, I think most people would naturally think the other way. They'd feel intimidated, they'd feel nervous, and I'm sure for some people, even with experience, maybe that never quite goes away, but you've really You've really figured it out, man. You know how to flip it.
Well, this is also taking me, I'm certainly not new. But you know what, though? Look at it this way. To simplify it even more so, remember, they're there to see you. Like, they're there to see the actor. They're there to see actors. They're there, like, we're walking in, like, hey, sit back, enjoy the show. Like, it's like they're there to see us. They need to cast these roles. They want this to be easy. They want it to be easy as possible. They don't want it to be complicated, and we as actors tend to get stuck in our heads too much, and we complicate it more so than it actually needs to be. And I think we lose sight on the whole purpose of the true auditioning process. Auditioning is supposed to be really kind of like, it's not, it's all about shifting your perspective and how you look at an audition. I choose to look at an audition as this is an opportunity for me to go in and like I said before, just to play. I get to, harness my craft more, and that way when I walk out of the room, I can always have, at the very least, some level of satisfaction, knowing that, okay, I played, did I have fun, rather than criticize myself and think, oh, I should have done that line this way, or I shouldn't have done that, or, or I wonder how they were looking at me. It's more so I take my control back, take my power back, and realize that they're actually rooting for me. They're actually cheering for me. They want me to be the one, because they don't want to have to sit through 100 actors for the rest of the day. They really don't,
I think that was the most inspirational thing that I've heard in a long time. We're all cheering for you now.
Oh, nice. All right, I like this show.
We're building a legion behind you. You're inspiring lots of people right now. I don't know how many. But.
Oh, I hope so. But I do think that it is something that is very relevant. That I think everything, life happens, and everything is up to our perception. It's all up to how we look at it, how we receive it, how we experience it, and then and then you always have a choice with your action. You know what I mean? It's like, I think if we spent more time staying focused on being self-aware and being accountable for ourselves, rather than pointing it outward and blaming the industry or blaming that other actor or blaming politics, blaming, that producer or why you didn't get a job or whatever. If you stop pointing the finger outward and start going inward, things actually start to align up and make more sense. And you take your control, you take your power back, and you realize, oh my God, this really is up to me.
Consider me motivated. I'm going to go get my plane ticket. I'm coming to L.A.
Yeah,
I'm heading right to some auditions right off the plane, and I expect to get a part within the next 3 days. So
there you go. Hey, it's not impossible. This is what the cool thing. As bad of a rap as L.A. can get, I will say this: Los Angeles is the place where truly anything is possible in any given moment. It honest to God is,
We hear so many stories. We've heard some on this show, and certainly yours is awesome. And, let's talk a little bit more about Clueless, because this is just one of several iconic 90s movies, TV, whatever the case may be. You truly are an icon of the 90s, I got to say. So, Clueless.
Oh, my God. Well, I don't know about that, but, geez, thank you. That's a great. You know what? We can talk as much as you want. If you want to call me every day and talk like this, that's great.
If you keep motivating me, you may have yourself a deal, because but
yes,
really,
Clueless.
if you think about it, it's mind-blowing. And I was thinking about this. Clueless is a movie that is truly beloved to this day. And, even going beyond Clueless for a second, just looking at, Can't Hardly Wait, you think about an entire decade of movies, and there were some gigantic blockbuster movies, giant action movies, like a Jurassic Park, Independence Day, whatever the case may be. And, these movies not quite necessarily at that super mega blockbuster level as far as the money that they brought in per se, but just the influence, the amount of people who remember those movies fondly to me that goes well beyond the much bigger movies. I mean, I don't remember the last time I saw even 30 seconds of Jurassic Park, but Can't Hardly Wait is on, it's on cable like virtually 24/7 on at least one channel. And Clueless is on many different cable channels as well. These are movies that people want to see again and again and again forever.
You know what's funny? It's so wild because, when Clueless was released, it was such a pleasant surprise sleeper hit of the summer. You know what I mean? It was huge. It actually did really great at the box office opening weekend, and it was just this feel good, enjoyable movie that Paramount put out, and it was just to have fun. It was a movie that you get to have a good time with, but also to laugh out loud, and nobody knew. I mean, my God, who knew that it was going to be such? Really, Clueless started the whole teen genre movies, of the 90s, and it carried it on and it carried it on all throughout that decade, and probably even in to now. It's like back in in the 80s, there, of course, there's the Pretty in Pink and 16 Candles, and then there was like this, and then we didn't really have this genre of movie. We didn't really have it for a long, long time. And then there was Clueless, and I think people were ready to bring back these types of movies. And then it just ended up being, and it just started this whole, roll of all the films back to back, and it just went really strong. So it's an honor to be a part of such a, and I have to say, to this day, throughout all this time, and even to this day, I have to say that not only do I get recognized frequently from Clueless, but also I meet people that literally tell me their personal stories about Clueless. They're like, oh my God, I remember when Clueless came out, I was in college, and it was a movie that I would literally play. I would put in the VHS tape, put it in my video player, and literally just let it play all day long. Yeah. And personal stories like that that actually means something. It's actually it makes it more sentimental, and has, I don't know, kind of increases the value of for me personally anyway. That really feels good to know that, oh my God, to really think about that and be like, that's a big deal, and it's extremely flattering, and I'm just really grateful to have been a part of it.
Yeah, and it's just, like I said, it's amazing just not only looking back on watching it back in the day, but just the staying power. This is a movie that people watch again and again and again to this day.
Yeah, no, it's true. People are crazy psycho. I can't remember the last time I saw Clueless, but I will say this. Apparently, everyone else out there watches it on a weekly basis. So.
You should see it. It's pretty good.
I should see it again. I should rent it again. But it's funny. And then it's funny you mentioned Can't Hardly Wait, because how I got Can't Hardly Wait was actually connected to Clueless. I got the role because of Clueless.
Oh, well, that's interesting. Let's just talk. And it's sort of a parallel here, because maybe more so than maybe any other two movies of that genre from the whole decade, you look at Clueless, and the other thing that's amazing is you look back at the cast, and just what an amazing set of talent that maybe not all well known back then, but all of a sudden you go back and you watch the movie, and suddenly you realize, oh, I know that person, I know that person, I know that person. All these people went on to have these very recognizable, very prominent careers, yourself obviously included. What was the feeling at that point, during that time? What did it feel like making that movie? Did it feel like the movie was going to be a hit, and did it feel like you were among this cast that truly could rise to such, prominence?
You know what? I think that with any movie, that when you're actually shooting it as an actor, we're there to show up and have a good time, and or at least you hope you're going to have a good time. You hope that all the actors are going to get along, maybe make some friendships, yada yada yada. I don't think an actor can truly, honestly say, oh, we are working on a major hit. It's going to be a big blockbuster hit. It's going to be this massive success, and everybody's going to explode. You know what I mean? Like, I don't think anybody really necessarily thinks that. You hope that. Absolutely. You certainly hope that. But I think that it's more so you show up and we were all so young then. I was so young. I was like barely 19 when that movie, I think I was like 18, 19 when I shot it, and maybe not even 20 when it came out, or maybe I just turned 20. And it's just, it's one of those that we just were. I mean, I looked at it as oh, this is work. I'm a working actor. I had no clue the level of caliber that it was going to reach. You know what I mean? I just didn't. I was still so fairly new to Los Angeles, and I was just having a good time. And then all of a sudden, it ended up being this big hit, and then it was, fortunately, fairly consistent work ever since then. So
that's awesome. And you mentioned before the relationship between the two movies, so we may as well get into that now. How did Clueless lead into Can't Hardly Wait for you?
When they were casting for Can't Hardly Wait, because Can't Hardly Wait is the type of movie where there was really only about 6 leads, like 6 main, really kind of like 2 to 3 main characters, but then there was like 6 leads that were sort of like kind of the main predominant lead characters. Everyone else had smaller parts. That, whether you were the pot smoking guy or the weird alien guy, you know what I mean? Like none of us, all the rest of us, it was one of those movies they literally put all of young Hollywood at the time and threw them in one movie. It's what they did. And they gave everyone, nobody had names other than the 6 lead characters. Nobody had specific names. We all had sort of titles as our characters' names.
And I was going to say... I was going to say, and, I don't know if this differs from the official title or whatever the case may be of your character, but when I was getting some information together for this interview, and, of course, this was on Wikipedia, so not necessarily official info, but they called you Ready to Have Sex Girl. That was your official character on this list. And I thought that was
Mom and
great.
Dad are proud.
Yes, absolutely. I'm sure you may have bent that story a little bit when you made the call.
I totally did. Of course I did.
So was that actually how this part was proposed to you?
Yeah. So, no, basically what it was is they apparently, I guess, casting had released sort of a search. We have in the acting world, I'm sure you've probably heard of this, but for those listeners out there who may not know, is that there is what's called a breakdown release of projects and characters that are all, in production for casting. And I guess there was a breakdown that was requesting that basically said, will the agents or managers of Nicole Bilderback please contact such and such casting office? So my agents did, and so basically it was really a straight offer. It was such a small part, but all those parts were all small and yet so, memorable and just funny, you know what I mean? So I was actually I think the ending credits, the title was Ready to Have Sex Girl, but I think it was originally the Crying Wanna Have Sex Girl. Which I'm not sure which one's worse. I know.
You don't want to make your character a downer. You want to leave an up impression with people.
Exactly. Well, we don't want people to think that every time you're sad, you must have sex to cheer you up. Like, that's not a good message for the kids. It's just not a good message.
No. We can't push the small children away from Can't Hardly Wait.
Exactly. But yeah, Can't Hardly Wait ended up being, what's funny is as small as a role that I had, it is shocking to me, and I mean shocking, the of how much I've gotten recognized from that movie throughout the years. It is absolutely shocking to me. Like, it's almost unbelievable.
I mean, just that movie, and I'm not sure if it's. I mean, first of all, it's obviously a great movie. It's a super funny movie, and it's so quotable. I mean, people I know we still quote it all the time, and it's almost a case where maybe just because of the way they're portrayed or written or whatever, all these tiny little parts that you talk of, that you speak of, it makes them more memorable, even if, they're only on camera for a minute or two. It just makes them that much more recognizable, if that makes any sense. Easier to remember exactly what that part was. I mean, it's just, and it's funny because, you look back, and I remember when the first American Pie came out, and that was a big deal, and then the sequel came out, et cetera, et cetera. And that felt at the time sort of like the kingpin of that genre of movie. And once it got to be past the Clueless phase and more of just the, we want to, a little more of the sexual romp kind of thing. Got a little bit, whatever the case may be. But I feel like Can't Hardly Wait over the years has overtaken that whole thing and has become much fonder in people's hearts, and it's just that much more accessible. I mean, like I said, it's legitimately on all the time on cable still, and there's got to be a reason for that. People are still watching the thing all the time.
I actually have a funny story to share, and this is the honest to God, true story. So help me God, I have witnesses. This is a true story.
Oh, boy.
So as the perfect example of what you just relayed about being, memorable and recognizable, even the small parts, is years ago. I have a lot in the dance world. I know a lot of dancers in the dance world, and I had really close friends that were backup dancers for Britney Spears. And so she was, I got to go and sit in and go visit them while they were, rehearsing, getting ready to go on tour. So they were at this, they're at this dance studio, here in LA, and I got to, pop in and say hi to them, and I got to meet Britney, and this was back when she was dating Justin Timberlake, when he was, still in sync. So get this, I had no clue that Justin Timberlake was going to be there, so I walk in, and, I'm watching, having a good time, and what do you know, look over, Justin Timberlake is there, watching, hanging out with Britney, watching the rehearsals and whatnot.
Okay.
Next thing you know, he looks over, and he's kind of looking at me, whatever, but I was like, oh my God, that's Justin Timberlake. You're like, that's in sync. You're just like, holy shit. And so, kid you not, he hesitantly kind of bashfully walks up to me. He's like, oh, excuse me, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry to bother you. But will you by any chance and Can't Hardly Wait? Swear to God. This is the guy, the lead singer of NSYNC, right, who's literally asking, I'm so sorry to bother you. And literally tells me, he's like, were you in Can't Hardly Wait? And I was like, well, actually, I'm like, oh, my God, yeah, I was. I'm like, there was such a small part. And he goes, no. He goes, no, you don't understand. Me and my bandmates, we watched that movie when we're on tour. That is the only movie that plays in our tour bus. We watch it like probably 10 times a day, all day long on the road. That is my favorite movie ever. He's like, oh, my God, it's so nice to meet you. That is my Justin Timberlake story, and I have never forgotten that moment ever since.
That's awesome. Have you seen him since then?
Have I? I don't think I have, actually.
You should catch up with him. He might still be watching it all day, every day, to this day.
God, I hope so. I really hope so.
It would be horrible if that was actually the case and you didn't know about it after all this time. That'd be a crime.
You know what? Justin and I will meet. Our paths will cross again. I have faith.
Oh, is this gonna be like that, like Before Sunrise and Before Sunset and those movies?
Right, exactly. Hey, I'll write a movie about it, and then we'll make it.
Yes, and then do another one in 10 years, and then another one in 15 years, and
exactly.
So, Can't Hardly Wait. Such a big deal, and that was really just the beginning for you. And
yeah.
So what else? I mean, I'm just looking at the list of stuff that you did, and certainly two major deals straight from the 90s. But even though we're a little past the 90s now, you were also on something that actually, you know what? I skipped something. Another 90s staple that is still replayed again and again and again. You were on Fresh Prince of Bel-Air.
Oh my God, Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. Yeah.
I almost missed that.
That was I think one of my first reoccurring roles. And I think I did like 4 episodes or something of that show. And
according to Wikipedia, I think you did 3 according to this, if this is accurate. But
God, it was so long ago. I barely remember. But it was. Yeah, I think I did like 3 or 4 episodes. It was actually the show was in its last season, and you know, they finally gave, you know, the character Ashley that was played by Tatiana Ali.
Yep.
They finally gave Ashley friends because, you know, we never saw her with friends on the show up until last season. So me and another girl were cast as her friends, and that was a ton of fun. I mean, just working on a sitcom, you know, first of all, is just a lot of fun. But then secondly, and also I actually was friends with Tatiana at the time. So, you know, I got to work with my friend. And then on top of it, of course, you know, as you know, that little actor by the name of Will Smith, he's done pretty well for himself ever since.
I've heard.
He was amazing. He could not have been nicer. He was just the nicest, just generous, kindest, and funniest guy. He was fantastic. I can't say enough good things about him.
At that point, he was already moving into movies, right? He had already gotten kind of buff for Independence Day, and he was sort of easing out of TV and into movies during that last year.
Yeah. I think he was. Yeah, that's when he was really starting to make that move, that transition. I mean, he was definitely a big name, but I think in terms of the beginning part of, you know, that him being catapulted into his status was happening around that time. Yeah, and he could not have been nicer. He was just a sweetheart and really, you know, charismatic, and he was just a great actor to have, you know, gotten to work with, and just to have someone. He was just really kind. I just remember him being really nice.
How was Alfonso Ribeiro?
He was hysterical. He was actually really funny. I had kind of known him just through mutual friends previously. I didn't know him well, but we had a few friends that sort of ran in the same circles, and I would see him every now and then. And he was just he was a nice guy. He was just really, he was kind of flirty with the ladies. But really,
that's basically what I was waiting to hear. That's pretty much all I heard about.
He was definitely a flirt, but also a gentleman, and I mean, again, I do not recall anything, you know, negative or offensive at all by him. I just remember him, again, being nice. And him and Will had great banter, and they were really close. I remember when they were doing that show, so, yeah.
That's cool.
They were both really great guys to work with.
Was that actually taped in front of a studio audience?
Yep. Yeah.
How
Which is such a high. It's so much fun. So much fun. It was such a high. That's what I mean, I actually haven't done a sitcom in a while, but that's what I love about sitcoms is you know, it's a lot more pressure in a shorter period of time, because, you know, you get a script, you have a table read, and then the next day, you start rehearsing, and then literally the next day you already have your first studio run through, and then you have your first network run through. I mean, it's all very, very fast. It's almost like doing a play in front of the audience. The only difference is that you get, if you mess up, you get to do another take, you know?
Right.
But the energy is so high. It's such a high. It's almost like an adrenaline rush. It's, you know, really nerve-wracking right before you're about to, you know, before they introduce you. But then once you get in the flow of it, then it's just, I don't know, it becomes a ton of fun, actually.
That's great. I mean, you've gotten to do a little bit of everything. I mean, more than a little bit, but you've gotten to do everything from sitcoms to dramas to movies. And That's pretty amazing. I'm just looking at the rundown of all the steady projects that you've been involved in throughout the years, just from great thing to great thing. Favorite of mine, Dawson's Creek. Not something I admit to many people, but it's certainly.
Oh my God, were you what do they call them? I was going to say, were you a creeker? But that's not what they call the Dawson Creek fans. What they call them?
I don't know. I wasn't like a diehard while it was actually airing and hot, but once it went into reruns, there was a point where I just got addicted to it and ended up watching all of them basically in order. So
you sound like my friend Rachel. No, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, I was going to say I grew to love the show after the fact, but what was your role on Dawson?
Again, that was another reoccurring. I guest starred on one episode the season before the last season. And then they introduced me as I was a producer. I think Dawson goes to Hollywood.
Oh.
And then he has a meeting with me or whatever, and I basically, when you first see me in the first episode that I did, I'm basically giving him the lowdown, and I guess I'm kind of bitchy. And then
I remember that.
And then I just say I'm really crass. I'm cutting more crass and direct, and he's just like, oh, And then the last season they brought me back, and I think I did a total of like 4 or 5 episodes, something like that. But so I got to go back to the final season, and I got to basically play this crass female, control freak Hollywood producer.
Mhm. I do remember you now. That was quite a contrast for Softy Dawson to deal with somebody as hardcore as you.
Poor Dawson. Basically, he got a little dose of reality outside of oh God, where was that show taking place? What was that town?
I don't know. The Creek. I don't remember.
The Creek. I know. Outside of the Creek, there was. I'll just say that.
Yeah. Those kids really didn't do very well outside of the Creek. It was like a self-contained environment, like behind a bubble.
I know, right? They were safe in their bubble.
But it's good to see that, now remembering your character, that you were able to develop that edge, even after that Disneyland commercial. You were able to eventually rise above.
Well, what's funny is, like, you made that joke at the very beginning when I said it, but it's funny because the majority of the roles that I've played in my entire career have all been like bitches. I'm like, wait a minute here. What's going on?
Wow. I would not characterize Ready to Have Sex Girl as, anything but wonderfully nice and giving, really, over the time.
She's just giving. The Ready to Have Sex Girl was just giving.
She was a giver. Generous. We all appreciated it back in the 90s, and we still do today.
Exactly, right?
So, yeah, you went from show to show. You've been pretty much busy ever since then, it looks like. Have you maintained any involvement in dance during any of this time also?
I've always kept up with dance. I mean, I certainly didn't pursue it by any means, but I've always kept up, whether it be through dance classes or just staying in the dance world. I just know I have so many friends who were backup dancers for all these huge stars that now are big choreographers, and so I've always dancing will always be my heart. It was my first love. It's always my heart, but acting was definitely my path in terms of where my career was supposed to lead me. So, but yeah, no, I mean, I've always kept up with. I think having my dance background certainly helped me with landing a lot of the roles. I've done a lot of physically challenging roles where whether it's an action character or involved some kind of action scenes, and that's definitely helped out a lot. And so I'm kind of glad that Mom enrolled me in those ballet classes when I was 3.
Everything really worked out for you and continues to work out. You're still doing great things. You're going to be appearing on a big show, big hyped show on TNT called Perception, starring Eric McCormack, who we all know from Will and Grace, tremendous actor. By the way, looked him up, 50 years old. The guy looks like he's 34. Hate guys
it's ridiculous.
like that. He's like taking the same stuff that John Stamos and Rob Lowe take. Some secret.
They all must be drinking the same water. I don't know what it. No, honest to God, I just wrapped the show. God, like 3 weeks ago or something. So it was very, very recent. And I have to say, this show, first of all, I don't know if you've had a chance to check it out yet, but I think when you think Eric McCormack, you think Will and Grace, and which was brilliant on that show. Mm-hmm. Wait till you see him. For those out there who haven't seen him on Perception, talk about a 180. I mean, he is absolutely brilliant on the show. He's sort of like this kind of crazy. He's like this little neurotic and crazy, and I mean, a totally different character, which is really great to see him in this completely different role, which just goes to prove just how talented he really is. And I have to honestly say, the nicest guy you'll ever meet. Genuinely, just a beautiful human being, so kind and generous and caring, and I mean, just treated everyone on set like they were a series regular. It doesn't matter if you're a guest star. They're just that whole entire set, the entire cast, the most down-to-earth, real people who are grateful to be working actors. And, in other words, no egos. You know what I mean? It was the most. Right. It was truly the most pleasurable experience.
That's great. And what did you play for this show? What did they bring you in for? So to speak.
So this is going to kind of connect to when we started off, and I said, when making the goal when auditioning, making it about having fun.
Okay.
Okay. So I get an email from the casting director, who is a legendary, iconic casting director that if you're an actor, we all know who Mary Jo Slater is. She's been around for years. She's cast every huge movie out there and has done, big TV shows for years and years. And of course, the fact that she's also Christian Slater's mom. Probably, she's an amazing, amazing woman. She emailed me, sent me an email, and it's like, hey, are you available to come in tomorrow for this audition for this role? And then the only thing that she said was, well, she's a cougar. And I was like, oh no, a cougar?
Oh no.
And I was like, oh, wait a minute. So I immediately start laughing. And then I was like, well, wait a minute, a cougar? But aren't I too young to play a cougar? I'm like, okay, I might be, comfortably in my later 30s, but I still play, in my late 20s. So I'm like, a cougar? What do you mean cougar? So anyway, what I ended up finding out is that the character herself, what it is that she is a young mom who probably got married way too young. She was probably still in college when she had her son, and her son, who is now a young teenager and is this prodigy genius that all these Ivy League schools are wanting to recruit and, to have them come and attend their university. And so I'm now divorced, but I'm still young. And so what they meant by cougar is they want the character to have a cougar energy about her. In other words, she's a young mom that kind of knows that, like, all right, she's divorced and she knows she's still young and she's got it going on. And so they wanted her to have, like, when you first see her, you want the audience to think cougar. That was just what they wanted. It's not written in the storyline that she's a cougar. It's just kind of the energy they wanted her to have.
Hey, Nicole, I've got some bad news for you. I don't think they told you this, but what they really wanted you to play wasn't a cougar. It was a MILF.
Oh my God. It's so funny. No, it's so weird you said that. Oh my God, I can't believe you said that.
you were in the wrong teen movie in the 90s, or you would have known that immediately, and you would have said, hey.
No, oh, man. No, what's so funny about that is because the character originally they wanted actually in her 40s. And but then of course they knew, but I guess age was never really relevant. It was really just the energy of what they wanted. So they just wanted the actress, however old she was, they wanted her to be a helicopter mom, which meaning a mom who hovers over her child and is overly controlling and overbearing and whatnot. So so it's funny that when I went in, they actually not only did they have to sort of adjust the son's age to make him a little younger. They but it's funny, and they had to actually when you see the show, like they definitely, I'm totally dressed completely up. I've got a lot of makeup on, and the hair is totally done. I basically look like a really rich wife to some huge oil billionaire from Texas. Like it's big hair, it's big hair. I mean, the hair is big. I mean, the makeup artists and hair, they were brilliant. It was big, beautiful, bright lips and big makeup and big hair. And I basically look like I'm from Texas, and it's all a little too real. But no, funny.
For comfort.
It's all it's a little bizarre. But no, funny you said MILF is because the ongoing joke is that, all my friends were like, okay, they're like, Nikki, you're way too young to be playing a mom to a teenager. And I was like, well, that's going to kind of, I think, be sort of a little bit of the joke about it as well. You know what I mean? And I think that as I'm on my last day of shooting, I'm literally saying goodbye to everybody. I'm saying goodbye to the director, who is this brilliant, veteran television director. He's done every big show. He produced Heroes. He's done all these huge shows, big movies. And anyway, so as I'm leaving, his last words to me were, "Thanks for playing a MILF." I about fell to the ground. I literally about fell to the ground. And I'm like, wow, I've been called a lot of things in my life. MILF was not one of them. This is the first time anyone's ever called me MILF. So you calling me a MILF is actually the second time I've gotten it.
I'm sorry. I hope you take it as a compliment, because I think that's how
I think it's hysterical. I think it's absolutely hysterical, yeah. So the episode should be airing soon. So I don't have an exact air date yet, but let's see here. I know the second season of Perception premieres on June 25th. Tuesday, June 25th, and then my episode will probably air, they're not airing them in order, so it could air in a couple weeks, or it could air in sometime in July or August, but it'll be fairly soon.
Okay, well, people should definitely start with the season debut, because it sounds like it's a pretty darn good show, and just keep on watching. Keep on watching until you see Nikki, and then keep watching after that.
Yes, exactly. It's a great show. It really is.
That's awesome. So, what a voyage it's been from Texan to Clueless to girl who's ready to have sex girl to MILF. You've pretty much you've lived a full lifetime within the course of these last couple of decades.
Well, you did. Well, I've never had my career summed up like that. Wow.
And a lot of stuff happened in between too, but
of course. But
it's all on Wikipedia, people. You can
that's actually really funny. Yeah.
Awesome. So, what you've got obviously that coming up. What else do you have in the works currently?
Yes, I actually, in the beginning of the year, I was offered the lead role in a thriller feature titled The Jogger. And right now, with a great cast and a great director, decent budget. And it's one of those, murder thrillers, you're trying to figure out who's done it, psychological thriller. And that will hopefully start shooting. They were originally looking for hopefully sometime this summer, but now it looks like it may be pushed for later in the year. we'll start production. Of course, depending on, actors' schedule and everything. But that'll be really cool. And then I actually just last week met with brilliant director. Her name's Karen Kusama. I think it's pronounced Kusama. It could be Kusama or Kusama, but you know who she is. She's directed. Her big claim to fame when she first started was Girl Fight. She directed Girl Fight, and she got all that high critical acclaim at Sundance. She won all these awards, and then she also directed Eon Flux with Charlize Theron, and she did Jennifer's Body. So this is, she's a highly acclaimed director, and I had the honor and pleasure of meeting her last week potentially for her next film. So fingers crossed. Hopefully hear about that. And if that works out, then that will go into production later this year. So there's a lot of great momentum right now, and I still do guest stars on TV shows. I also recently did an episode of The Mentalist, and so there's momentum and work, and I'm just really, really grateful. Life is I've just been fortunate. As actors, we kind of tend to ride a roller coaster. Some years there's more work than others, but I feel very fortunate and blessed that I've managed to work somewhat consistently throughout the years and still go at it. So the things, I can't complain. Things are actually going really well right now on the career side. So
very awesome. And we're happy to continue to watch you wherever you pop up year after year. That sounds depressing, but
I know.
Sorry, I feel like we went a little too far with the MILF thing, and now
first you call me a MILF, and then you say year after year. What, am I going to be 90 like next year? When you call me to do, am I going to really seriously be 90 years old?
Well, they're making this reboot of the Golden Girls that I think you might.
I know, great, thanks a lot, great.
Wow.
Yeah, you know what? Next, I always joke about, because like a lot of my friends, because there's been so many. There's been so many sequels to Bring It On, and after being in the first one, the original, the big one in the movie theaters, a lot of people are like, oh my God, they're like, good Lord, how many have they made so far? How many are there? And I think it's like 7 or something like that, either 7 or 8 or maybe 6. I don't even know. But so the joke is, I'm like, people have asked me, they're like, so, do you think you'll ever go back for a Bring It On, like a reunion or anything? I was like, what? Bring It On senior citizens, and I'm going to be walking with my cane and oxygen tank?
Oh man!
Which don't get me wrong. I would do it. I'm just saying.
Yeah, sorry, I actually skipped over Bring It On because I'm a guy. So I felt for that reason alone, I was not allowed to speak about it. But a lot of people certainly enjoyed you in Bring It On as well. And
actually, more guys, like dudes, no joke. Dudes are like, like when that movie came out, so many guys like, dude, they're like, I love that movie. I love that. I mean, what guy doesn't like chicks in short cheerleading skirts and sports bras? You know what I mean?
Huh. I never thought about it like that. I think I missed out.
Yeah.
I'm probably too old to go back and watch it. Now it's just creepy.
No, I did. It's funny. Speaking of creepy, though, it's actually kind of funny that, a lot of dads, fathers literally walk up to me and say, oh, yeah, well, you can Bring It On, which can come across creepy. But if you think about it, they've seen the movie a gajillion times because of they have daughters.
Yeah, but that doesn't count all the times they're watching it after their kids go to sleep.
That is true. You're so right about that.
Watch that. Nikki, what are some ways that people can follow you, find you on the internet, catch up with everything that's going on with you?
Yay! I do. I'm trying to learn how to be a better. What is it? Twitter, twat. What is it? I think is it called Twitter?
It's called Twitter, and you tweet on it. So I guess that would make you a tweeter.
I'm trying to work on being a better tweeter. I need to be more consistent with it. But yes, my I am at Lady Bilderback.
Okay.
They can find me on there, or they can also find me I'm on Facebook as well. But I'm under my friends call me Nikki, so I'm actually under Nicole Bilderback. But I do, I use that as, not only to keep in touch with my friends back home, but also, sort of it's also used as a, professional source and fan source. And but yes, but I need more followers. I never figured out the whole Twitter thing. I never got good at it, so I didn't know how to get followers and how to do all that. So I'm like, I need more followers. I have no idea how to do this thing.
Well, now that you've publicly said it, now this is your time when you have to get focused and you have to learn it now because you've said it. So people are going to be expecting the goods.
Now I'm being held accountable, doggone it.
Exactly. This is a verbal contract, and we're all going to take you to court if you don't pop
out. Now I'm going to have to tweet. Now I'm going to have to tweet this.
Yeah, and I'll get you started because as soon as this thing goes online, I'll give you the information, and then you can tweet that, so people can listen to this. See, it's all cyclical synergy.
Exactly. It all comes full circle.
Absolutely. So, anyway, Nikki, we want to thank you so much for talking at length about all the cool things that we know and love about you and what you've done and where you've been and where you're going. It's been awesome. So thank you so much for being a part of the show today.
Oh, it's all my pleasure. I truly appreciate it. Thank you for taking interest in wanting to interview me, and I've had such a fun time. You're an absolute pleasure, and anytime you want to talk with me, and whether you call me a MILF or whether you feed my ego, that's fine. You can talk to me whenever you want. So whenever you want an interview, I'm around.
Awesome. Sounds good. I will take you up on that. So, all right. For Nikki, I'm Jerry Strauss, and guess what, guys? We'll see you next time on Down with the 90s. Thanks for joining us, and we'll see you later. Ow. Nice. Okay. Yeah, so really, thank you. That was awesome and extended in a good way. Like,
I was going to say, sorry, was that way too long? So sorry.
No, I mean, the only thing is that we may have to, and I'm not the tech guy, so I don't really know, but we may have to split it up into two parts, which is cool. That's fine with me. So,
I'm going to be that girl. I'm that girl.
You're now officially a mini-series.
Yes, nice.
The final frontier. So
I know.
Yeah, so I'll send you everything as soon as I think this is probably going to go up like next week.
Oh,
at this
cool.
point. So a little bit of time, but I rely on someone to do all the production after this is done, and then they tell me when it goes up. They give me the link, and then I'll pass it right on to you. So you can do whatever you want with it.
Oh,
okay.
Nice. I was going to say, well, for PR reasons, I'd like to put it on my website, and I'd like to, of course, tweet it and put it on, Facebook and get everyone to listen to it. So, but I really appreciate it, Jerry. Thank you so much for everything, and I had a fun time. So.
Good. Me too. I appreciate it too. So, all right, I'll keep you posted.
Wonderful. Thank you.
All right. Thank you. Have a good
all
night.
Right. You too. Bye-bye.